Hello, welcome to another video. Basically how this video began was that my power went out and I was bored, so I looked through my old books and lo and behold, I found a lot of things. I used to have a bunch of Harry Potter OCs, but they weren't proper OCs. They were just OCs I created for a collection of fan fiction or just fan art, and they weren't well made, and I was really young, so nothing made sense. Basically, I made a book detailing a bunch of OCs that I had, and I think I only put 1 or 2 Harry Potter ones in there. And I remember just wanting to use that notebook for something else, so I took out all the first few pages that I had filled and destroyed them. I have no idea where these characters are, so I have no idea where these pages are or anything. But I did save one page, which is this one, which is an old Harry Potter OC that I have, which is the only one that has some sort of backstory or thing, because with a lot of my other OCs that I had for fanfictions, they were basically the exact same character, but with different names. They were all, I don't know, they were all somehow in connection with the Marauders and Lily Evans. They were somehow, almost all of them were in Slytherin, and somehow almost all of them were also snobby. They were hashtag not like other girls. They were like entitled and almost annoying. It was like, what is this character? It's like, none of them were good. And they're all basically the exact same character with different names, so I could just make a bunch of different fan fictions about them. And it was just, it was horrendous. Anyway, so currently I'm drawing the character that I am reviving. Although this probably won't be a proper OC, like I probably won't draw them ever again or do anything with them even after I revamp them. Probably because I just have no emotional connection with them. My only other Harry Potter OC is Tom, my Marauders era OC, who I love. And she did have this version, this weird version, almost like this weird annoying character that somehow for some reason was with the Marauders, and she has like 4 or 5 different versions of fan fiction that I tried to like redo and redo and redo until I finally decided to redo her entire character. And then the fan fictions of her from then were slightly better, but I haven't written anything about her as of yet, because I just can't be bothered. It's too complicated, it's too long, it's too detailed, and I have to be like some amazing writer to be able to convey what her story actually is. So Tom's just a OC that doesn't have a fanfiction yet, but her old versions were basically part of this. She was just part of this same character with different names thing. She was like that until I changed her and actually gave her a proper story that was cohesive and made sense and was slightly realistic. Whereas with this character, none of it makes sense. Even basically, so this sheet I'll show on the screen, we give her nickname, her name, and like a bunch of facts, and none of these facts are cohesive. So I'll read it out and you'll see what I mean. So her name was Ronald Potter. Oh, and I have to make a little note. I feel like these two characters, Tom and Ronald Potter, were made about basically the exact same time. So I don't know if Ronald Potter was made first or Tom was made first, but Ronald's character seems very similar to Tom's. But in the revamped version, I've made it so it's slightly different, but it still seems slightly similar. You'll see what I mean. Okay, basically her nickname is Ronnie, which is commonly used, except we find out later down the page that she doesn't use that name anymore. So I don't know how Ronnie can be commonly used if she doesn't even use her proper name. As you can see, Ronald is a conventionally male name, which is what Tom's is. Tom's is a conventionally male name, although hers is a reason because, you know, named Dr. Voldemort, it's like the whole ordeal of her name. But Ronald doesn't. Basically, she's supposed to be twins with Harry Potter. So why would James and Lily call her Ronald? Like, Ronald's only similar to like Ronald Weasley, but why would that even make sense? I don't know why they would name the child Ronald. So in the revamped version, I just refer to them as R, and I'll look for a name when I get internet, because I don't have internet, no electricity. Basically, the wand is 8 inches Phoenix core, Ermord, I think. I don't know what that means, really. I was a weird child. Like, I don't even know what Tom's wand is, because that stuff is just fancy stuff I can't be bothered with. So she's twins with Harry Potter. She's best friends with Fred and George. Friends with Ron. Okay. She's secretly working for Voldemort. Somehow. She's secretly frenemies with Malfoy. How she's secretly frenemies. I don't think I have a description of how she looks like or what house she is in. Okay. So we have some facts. Before her parents died, so James and Lily, she was kidnapped by Mary Prince, Snape's mother. Now here's the thing. Is Mary Prince alive? I don't know if Mary Prince is alive. I had to do like 8 hours of research to fully make Tom's backstory work. I don't even know if Mary Prince is alive at this point. I really don't think so. And also, why would Mary Prince kidnap Potter child? Why? For some reason Snape is her godfather, which doesn't make sense because James Nat hated Snape, and I know there's that rumor or something that Lily was persuading James to make Snape their second child godfather, but that's like a time thing, I think, like the second child, not like a twin. Yeah, don't know how that makes sense. She's slightly Death Eater-ish somehow. Okay, we have a romance, and that romance was with Fred Weasley. Okay, we have a handwriting sample because I used to do that back in the day. Then we have a had to go undercover in case Voldemort gets her, so no one knows she is a Potter. So this is what I mean. She goes undercover and she gets an undercover name called Livy Hope. So this is the name she enrolls in Hogwarts as and all this and that. But it is never mentioned who's looking after her after Mary Prince kidnaps her. And I don't like remember writing this or remember thinking or conceiving of this character. So I couldn't even tell you off this page who's looking after her. So I have no idea. So we have a fact. Remus Lupin is defense against the arts teacher. I think back in the day when I was younger, I couldn't be bothered to think about different teachers that would take over the position. So I just default Remus as all of them because, you know, that's great fun. Just ignore the plot. Then we have another fact. Ronnie is a werewolf somehow, for some reason. Somehow is a werewolf. I don't know how. I couldn't tell you why she is a werewolf or how she is a werewolf. Weird fact. This is what I mean by just add every hashtag not like other girls factor into this. Hashtag not like other OCs. And then the last fact is that she is a Parseltongue. I feel like this one can slightly make sense because she's a Potter. But I'm pretty sure Harry's Parseltongue came because he was part Voldemort, because he was soul splitting. So I don't know how that makes sense regarding Ronnie, since she was never a Horcrux, so I don't know. And also, when was Mary Prince supposed to kidnap this child? Before they died. So that means, isn't there an investigation? How does this work? Why would you kidnap this child? I'm so confused. Oh, younger me did not make any sense. Alright, now let's talk about my revamped version. As I said, there's no house here that said, although knowing younger me, she's probably a Slytherin, especially since she's Death Eater-ish or something. I'll assume she was a Slytherin, and it doesn't say who she resides with. Meanwhile, maybe in an orphanage, maybe not. We're just gonna have to leave that whole thing blank. It also doesn't say what she looks like, so I don't know what she looks like. I assume she'll look like the Potters. In the revamped version, I've worked some stuff out so far. So she's still Harry's twin sister. I was gonna make her his older sister, but then I was but then she'll be conscious. She'll know some things, remember some things of the night, so she won't actually. So that might be a bit problematic if she gets kidnapped. Because kidnapping isn't problematic at all. So we don't want her to remember anything. So it also did it so then she could if she was a bit older, she could actually be Fred's love interest in high school without it being weird, because in high school, even a year's difference is everyone goes crazy. So, but then I was yeah, nah, stuff that. She won't be Fred's love interest in this version, so she's Harry's twin sister. So what happens? On the night of Harry's parents' death, instead of Snape's mother kidnapping her for no exact reason, Snape does. Because he doesn't kidnap her. He comes to visit to try and warn them of attack, because he's such a nice guy, you know what I mean? But he meets with James in the front yard, and James is holding, or has R, because that's her name now, we're not calling her Ronald, R in a pram in the front garden, and he's yo, I don't want to talk to you. So Lily calls him inside the house, so James is hold a sec, goes inside. And it's nighttime, right? Because it's literally just as they're about to die. So he leaves the pram outside with R in it, and he goes inside and is yes, honey. While that happens, Snape's oh, Voldemort's here, because he sees Voldemort appear or something. He makes sure he can't see his face, and he's she's going to kill everybody in this house, including this child that's right in front of me. So he's I'm going to save this child. So he quickly snatches the child and escapes. So then once Voldemort dies, he comes back with R and puts her in either in the cot with Harry when he's crying, or in her own cot, which I would assume next to him, while Snape cries over Lily as he does, technically. Then he when he's finished being a crybaby, he decides to take R and not Harry. I don't know why. I'm gonna put this little maybe thing that he's I don't want to take Harry because Harry has Lily's eyes and I can't be reminded with that for the rest of my life. Whereas R has no distinctible feature that is of Lily's. But then I'm thinking about making it haha, you know, reverse card on him, because then I'm going to make it so that she has like red hair like Lily's and needs glasses as well. So then he's like has to be reminded of Lily every day of his life now, because the child is going to have the same sort of hair that Lily does. Anyways, so he leaves Harry and takes R with him, and basically everyone believes that she was killed. Whoops. And so Snape kind of claims that he adopts this child, you know, and didn't kidnap her, and renames her to L, because the cover name was Livy Hope, and I'm not going to call her that, and that Snape would call her something else. Instead, she is called L Snape. We'll figure out a different name when we do research. So now she's going to be called L Snape because she's a Snape child, and no one knows of her identity. And, like, Snape doesn't tell her who she really is. When she's older, like, I don't know, 5, 6, meets Fred and George when they're in their first and second year, because she's just vibing in Hogwarts for her whole life, basically, because Snape works there. She'd be about 9 when Fred and George are in first and second year. So, you know, she's vibing there, being sort of friends. So in this version, she isn't a Parseltongue. She isn't a werewolf, because that doesn't make sense. Remus Lupin is her godfather. I feel like that makes much more sense than Snape being her godfather. So Remus Lupin is her godfather, but Remus Lupin thinks she's dead. So in this version, she isn't secretly working for Voldemort or slightly Death Eater-ish. Because what's his name? Snape dude, he isn't really Death Eater-ish once Voldemort's dead. He like works with Dumbledore, right? So he's just vibing with Dumbledore, and she is as well. The point where Voldemort comes back to life and is just ruining everything. And Snape's like double agenting, like the cool guy he is. She would be around the time she finds out that she isn't a Snape and in fact a Potter. I feel like that would be a good transition, because then like Snape would be busy double agenting and she'd be, yo, what's this weird facts that don't add up. Anyway, she kind of becomes friends with Hermione more, but then once they get sorted, she's stuck in Slytherin, which makes sense because, you know, Snape is a stinky old Slytherin, so she's not friends with like Harry and that anymore, really, because, you know, no one likes Slytherins. I feel like she's a Hufflepuff person, like, she's a Hufflepuff with a Hufflepuff personality, but because of Voldemort, and you know how Harry was, like, he could have been in Slytherin, she could have been in Slytherin, and then Snape and that were like, you're a pretty good Slytherin person, and I'm a Slytherin, so she's like, oh, I guess I'm a Slytherin then, even though she's actually supposed to be a Hufflepuff. Sad times. In this version, I'm making it so instead of just being like frenemies with Malfoy, she's in fact love interest with him instead of Fred Weasley. I feel like that makes a bit more sense, and that way we can have some Draco angst, even though I'm not even going to explore this OC much further than this video. Oh well. You know, so Draco can actually does fall in love with the Potter. I feel like that's a better backstory than whatever backstory that was on this sheet of paper. That doesn't make any sense. Anyway, as you can see, this is rather similar to Tom's backstory, since technically they're both kidnapping dead parents, an identity that technically isn't accurately their own. Slight resemblance. I don't know, maybe one of these got influenced by the other. Anyways, if you enjoyed this video and like, I thought it was funny, you can comment down below your cringy Harry Potter OCs. Like, I'm sure we all that. Hashtag not like other OCs. Like and subscribe if you want more delicious content like this one. If you want to listen to more bad Harry Potter OC content, then do that, because it'd be really funny. See that find this stuff entertaining. I certainly do. I have so much old things I can just go through. I can just keep making more videos on it. It'd be hilarious.